What's up, knife people? Knight's Edge here, and today talking about overbuilt knives. The term overbuilt can have different meanings to different people. For some it may mean beefy, for some it may mean like a strong locking system like this one here. For some it may mean that the knife has a thicker blade stock. I've heard the term used to describe inlays. Overcomplicated as in overbuilt and extra features like that. Lock bar inserts that help ensure longevity for frame locks. All kinds of different meanings for overbuilt. And I've definitely come to find that out, and it varies pretty widely. There can be a little overbuilt knife, there can be a big overbuilt knife, there can be a big knife that's not overbuilt. I'm kind of giving my opinion on the matter. Whole video is my opinion because I'm the one making it, so just as is every other video ever recorded. Some are factual, others are some almost entirely non-factual and contain almost pure opinion. But to some extent, every piece of media ever created, from news reports to YouTube videos to movies, contain opinions, right? I'm kind of prefacing this with this opening statement just so I don't have to waste your time or mine more than I already have to tell you. It's all my opinion from my experiences thus far. My opinion might be different in a year. It was definitely different 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago when I kind of got into this hobby. So all that being said, opinions change, tastes definitely change. Mine's different than it was even a year ago, much less whenever I got into the hobby, right? So just bear that in mind. And now that I've wasted the first minute and, well, 2 minutes, over 2 minutes, I thought it'd be a good time kind of to do this video because I've got all these Bruisers, overbuilt knives in from Tomas. He has got an excellent collection. Go check him out on Instagram. It'll be linked down below in the description of the video, as will every one of the custom makers for sure, and some of the small batch production stuff. Whatever I can think of, I will link down at the bottom. None of them are affiliate links, just kind of to help you out if you want to go check them out. Definitely go follow the makers on Instagram, contact them if you're interested in an overbuilt knife. This one, of course, not a custom. This is a Taiwanese production knife right here. So yeah, just kind of prefacing everything with that, just letting y'all know, not affiliate links, and everything should be linked down below in the description. And let's see, we'll start out with the first one right here. This is the Cold Steel Knives 8010. This is one that is pretty commonly viewed as overbuilt, one that I would say many of you own or have at least tried at some point in time if you've been in the community for a little while. Used to be more popular than what it is. We'll go ahead and break that one out there. Open it up. Maybe zoom in just a little bit. There we go. All right, there we go. Well, maybe not too much. Gotta leave some room for some of the bigger ones that are there's definitely bigger ones. So I picked this one as a good starting point to me because in its essence, to me, this is an overbuilt knife. This is what I would consider an overbuilt knife. It's a prime example on how overbuilt knife is subjective also, depending on the individual, which makes the knife community a much less boring place. That can be applied to many aspects of the knife community: color, preferences, budget, country of origin, how it's made, production, mid-tech, small batch, custom, all that stuff. And a lot of those definitions are subjective too, right? It is pretty beefy to me overall compared to most of the knives that I carry. It's pretty thick. Let me get the calipers out here. Let me do a little thickness check on it. Blade stock thickness sitting at 158 thousandths, thickest part of the spine. And your handle thickness on the 8010, 600 and around 624 thousandths or so. So a pretty thick knife overall. Also what I would say is a full-size knife by definition. All right, just under 9 inches with a blade length of 3 3/4. You go all the way back to the scale right there, and sharpened edge length of 3 5/8. You guys don't need to see all the specs on all of these. I was just kind of saying that this is an example of an overbuilt knife. This is the first one that pops into my head because it's really common. It's a real beefy knife. Also, the lock. I mean, while you can, you can close it one-handed if you want to. This is the triad lock, right? So right there, I'm closing it one-handed. I would not recommend that for safety's sake. It's really easy to kind of drop it and get your finger right there if you're not careful with it. But you can most definitely close it one-handed. But that's kind of something that comes into mind whenever I'm thinking overbuilt is harder to close. Now, as you'll see going on, that's one of the reasons as I kind of go through this video that I'm saying this is all my opinion, because I've got one over here that I think is overbuilt, and it's got a really super easy, convenient locking mechanism. The lock itself, this is a triad lock. It's got 3 points of contacts. It'll break whenever the lock, in order for the lock to fail. It's not like a typical back lock. So it's a really strong locking mechanism. Also, another option, you can put a pin right there through this hole, and if you do that, you can kind of give yourself a little more assurance that the knife won't close on your fingers, your hand, if you're using it. So the Cold Steel 8010, I keep wanting to say Demko 8010, that one definitely I would say is an overbuilt knife. It's a puny knife to some people. Tomas, actually, I think this is kind of towards maybe the lower end of what he would be normally carrying. But yeah, again, subjective term. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll do another one. And this is, some people might not think it's overbuilt at all. I know I don't, but this is an example of one that people might think is overbuilt. That's the Spyderco Shaman, right? Here's another variant of it. This is, let me get the 8010 out of here. That is the standard Shaman in S30V and G10 handle scales. That's the regular one. The Sprint one has the Met & Boss Oil Slick titanium scales, and the 15V blade, as you can see right there, CPM 15V on the blade right there, much heavier. Go ahead and just check this real quick, do a weight check on it kind of. So this is the regular G10 S30V. That's 5.1 ounces. That's 7.1 ounces. So 2 ounces of difference, and you can definitely feel that 2 ounces whenever you pick it up. That titanium, much heavier in hand, might kind of make it feel a little overbuilt to you. I can understand that for sure, especially if you're used to carrying something that's smaller, like the Para 3, right? Para 3, or even the Paramilitary 2. Got the compression lock on all 4 of these, all 3 of these, because 2 of them are the same, right? But you got the compression lock on all of these knives, and the compression lock, fairly, I guess you would say, it's a strong locking system. I wouldn't say overbuilt, but maybe that's another aspect about it that people would kind of see as, you know, being overbuilt. And this is on the lighter end of things. As we progress through this list, through these knives I've kind of put together here, you'll definitely see more of what you would probably consider overbuilt. Trust me, it gets a lot better. All right, so also, before I move on from the Shamans, this one, 15V, a wicked blade steel, super edge retentive blade steel, and maybe that might be something you kind of consider overbuilt, right? Because S30V is a pretty good blade steel. I mean, 20 years ago, S30V would have been like the king of blade steels, right? It's been ultra premium, holds an edge great, very pretty decently corrosive resistant, unlike the 15V, which will corrode in a heartbeat. But that 15V is an edge holding monster. It's probably the most edge retentive steel that I own, maybe outside of Maximate. I don't know, that Para 3's in Maximate. That's pretty edge retentive too, but that 15V, I've sharpened it one time and it is still really sharp, and I have most definitely cut all kinds of stuff, even a lot of stuff I haven't been cutting with it. So, for example, maybe steel type. If, you know, you consider it 15V and overbuilt steel, you slap a pair of titanium scales on a Shaman, maybe the Shaman's then kind of an overbuilt knife to you. I mean, it's definitely beefy to me, but again, somebody like Tomas or somebody that's used to carrying Bruisers might consider that kind of a really puny knife, really. This is 147 thousandths, by the way, thickest part of the spine. I'll try to remember to do blade stock thickness on all of them. So that is the Shaman. All right, accidentally turned that off, so definitely going to be some editing and skipping around on this one. This is the Bless Knives Predator Laser Ghost, or Bless Knives Predator. He changed his name to Laser Ghost. That's Donnie Bless makes these. This is a one-of-a-kind knife for sure. This is a prototype, all USA made, custom prototype knife right here. There's only 2 of them in existence, so for some people they might consider that to be overbuilt. For me, it's on kind of the high end of extra large, but not maybe quite overbuilt, but pretty much, if I'm anything over this, I would consider that I'm kind of carrying an overbuilt knife, right? So frame lock, S90V on the blade steel. Of course, this is a custom, so what you might get might be different. You might not have S30V, you might have MagnaCut, you might have something else, depending on what Donnie has to offer at the time. But it's got 3/16 stop pins in it. Uses the thumb studs also as stop pins. Definitely a heavy duty knife. Overall length on this one, let's see, let me go ahead and measure it. I forgot the overall length on this thing. 9¼ inches overall with a 4¼ inch blade. So if your definition's overbuilt as extra large, extra long, then this one might be overbuilt. Blade stock thickness, not especially thick. For Donnie, I think it's pretty thick for what he usually makes. I'm gonna go ahead and do blade stock thickness on this one, sitting at 154 thousandths. Blade stock thickness. We'll do handle thickness too on this one, 474 thousandths. So not especially bulky. It carries really well. It carries better to me than the 8010 does for sure, and it's not really extra beefy, extra bulky. Now it is strong with those 3/16 stop pins that it's got. Thumb studs acting as the over travel stops. Really strong knife. It really is. It is a super stout knife. It's definitely a user, but that being said, I wouldn't consider it overbuilt because it's not, I don't know, it just doesn't have that super chunky kind of aspect of it. But this one is one that I would put kind of at the far end of extra large or whatever. It's if I'm carrying anything, like I said, over this one, I would consider it to be an overbuilt knife. I'll get another one out here. Now this next one, I'm definitely saying is overbuilt. This one's courtesy of Tomas. That is the it's hard to pull that one out without laughing. That's the Demko 8020 XXX, the triple X. Came out about a month or two ago. Most definitely meets my criteria for an overbuilt knife. It weighs right around 10 ounces. We'll get the scale back out here, double check that. Let's see if I got terrible lighting right here, but turn that off, zero it out anyway. 11 ounces. All right, so even heavier. That's 11 ounces. So yeah, definitely a heavy duty overbuilt knife in my mind. 10.5, 11. I was a half an ounce off whenever I was looking at Demko's kind of specs on his website, and it is definitely a super heavy duty folder. You have 4 inches of CPM 3V, 9.5 inches overall. Go ahead and get this back out just to make sure. Yeah, 9.5 inches overall, 4-inch blade, CPM 3V, has excellent toughness with decent edge retention, which is comparable kind of to 154 cm, which isn't the best edge retention, but for such thick blade stock, and we'll get the calipers out here. That's one thing about this one that differs from the ones I'm used to. It's right at 1/4 inch, just a hair under 1/4 inch, 246 thousandths on the blade stock there. Get down to the kind of cutting edge on this one, and goes down to 29 thousandths on that cutting edge, so that's pretty good. I mean, yeah, so this is a big boy knife. While the length alone on this one kind of puts it in the XL category for me, the 1/4 inch thick blade stock is what really drives home and puts it in the overbuilt category. That combined with the strength of the shark lock, which Demko itself described as being stronger than the triad lock, kind of makes it more of a glass cannon. It's a true beast. So I encourage you to watch Tomas's Instagram videos on this one and a couple of the other knives I'm going to show here in a minute. It's going to be linked below. Again, for some perspective on the size of this one, let's see, let's get it right here next to another knife with a shark lock. That's the Arcade. All right, that's the Flytanium Arcade up next to it. Here's another one. This is its little brother. I don't have the 20.5 anymore. That's the 8020S slicer, 8020. So definitely, I mean, put it all the way down there. And remember, on the way the camera is, this one actually looks bigger, right? So yeah, definitely what I would consider overbuilt, way bigger than its little puny kind of brother there, the Demko 8020, which is crazy to me. So yeah, definitely a really large full-size knife, and what I would consider to be an overbuilt knife. Still very easily manipulated, in my opinion. I think it's very easily manipulated. The easiest to manipulate overbuilt knife I've ever handled, for sure, with 1/4 inch blade stock. All right, get that one out of here. Let's go with the next one. Next one is going to be the Shooziz. Try to flick it out there. That's the Han 317, Chinese production company based in China's largest manufacturing hub. So this is kind of way on the other end of the spectrum as far as country of origin, small batch, USA, all that. This is a Chinese made production here. So we did a custom, we did a kind of, I would consider the 8020 XXX kind of be more like a small batch production knife. Definitely not a custom. This is a Chinese production knife, so you can go on Amazon and get this one. Today we're here to talk about the overbuilt aspect of it though, right? And I would say that would be the correct term to describe that. This knife right here, 1/4 inch DC 53 blade stock, an overall length, go ahead and get that, 9, let's put it right there at the end, yeah, right around 9 1/4 inch overall length. The blade length you got on this one is 4 inches if you go all the way back to here. If you just do the sharpened edge, you got 3 3/4 inch. So handle's definitely a lot bigger than the blade. Let me go ahead and get the scale out here. Let's see. This thing's crazy. 15 ounces. Yep. Put that maybe where you guys can see it. I need to get another scale. I know it's hard to see the numbers on there. But yeah, 15.2 ounces, super heavy. This might be the heaviest one on the list. I don't think I measured the blade stock thickness on this one. Let me go ahead and get the calipers back out here. Let's see, thickest part of the spine. You are looking at, I thought it was 1/4 inch, but it is 290 thousandths, so over 1/4 inch. Yeah, that is pretty insane, right? It's definitely what I would consider like a monster knife for sure. All right, let me move this around, get that over there. But yeah, the action is superb on it, right? And with such a heavy I say the action's superb as I mess it up on the camera, right? You can reverse flick it from the hole that's right there at the end, which is, well, I'll say you can, right? Yeah, you give a little wrist flick, you can reverse flick it from that hole. As soon as you clear that liner out the way, this thing, it is falling shut. And you can hear it whenever it falls shut, right? Do that again. Yeah. So yeah, I guess the action's good on it. I mean, the blade's so damn heavy, you don't really know if the action's good on it, right? You got that satin finish, so it's definitely a fingerprint magnet. They do have stonewash variants, different colors, all that normal Chinese made production stuff that they have on a lot of Chinese made production knives they've got on this one. That's the Shooziz Han 317, one that I would definitely consider being an overbuilt beast. And the steel on it, before I stop talking about it real quick, I did mean to talk about the steel DC 53 I had not heard of, and according to the website that I looked at, which is titussteel.com, it's a great replacement for D2. It has high hardness and fatigue strength, but bear in mind that is the first time that I've heard that, and it's the first time that I've heard of this steel, so I haven't done any testing on it, so bear that in mind. If it's accurate, it seems like a logical choice for a knife with such insanely thick blade stock. The only thing I can imagine really doing with this one is chopping, doing a lot of chopping. I don't know. I mean, it's a cleaver pretty much. It's an insanely overbuilt, super heavy cleaver. I actually carried this one to work today, and I knew it was there the entire time I was carrying it. Doesn't carry uncomfortably, really. It is just super incredibly heavy. Now, I do wear thick blue jeans to work, so also bear that in mind. You're wearing khakis or dress pants, something like that, you're not going to want to carry this big ass thing around all day. Next one up is going to be the Heeter Knifeworks MOW. Custom knife made in maybe Alabama, I think Alabama, I don't know. By the time I do the full review on this one and the next one up, I'll know a lot more information about them. But this is definitely not small batch. This is a custom, super nice custom knife, USA made knife. Todd Heeter is a one-man show. This is the MOW, stands for Man of War, and this particular MOW is MOW number 624. This is again Tomas's knife, as is the last one, so y'all can definitely thank him for loaning me these. I can show you guys. I mean, I was super excited that he let me borrow them. Full video will have all the information in it, all that good stuff. You know, this came with the COA and all that. I'll show that on the full review video. while every knife that I put on here looks fairly beefy, this one, in one way or another anyway, this one just looks mean. The Attitude Adjuster 3000 at the end right here, pretty crazy, kind of combined with the curvature of the knife, kind of makes it almost look like a scorpion's tail. I don't know if anybody else gets that kind of vibe off of it, but I do. I think it's so cool, man. Look at the flame anno on the titanium. He's got Heeter right there. That's the number of the actual knife itself, 624. And again, this is a full custom right on the pivot right there, MOW2, Man of War 2. I really like how he does the pivots, man. If I ever get him to make one of these, if there's anything about this at all that I would change, it would be that. And I don't know if he does them without that. He might not. He might say no. I do not do my knives without that wicked ass glass breaker. But man, you talk about wicked looking yet incredibly comfortable in hand. This one is super comfortable in hand. Really surprised the hell out of me after I opened it up. Whenever I got it in hand, let's see, blade stock thickness 214 thousandths there. Let's go back a little farther, 209 thousandths there. So thickest blade stock reading I'm getting on it with the calibers here is right at, I saw 210 thousandths a second ago. So thinner than the 8020 XXX blade stock thickness wise, but yeah, incredibly thick blade stock still. Nonetheless, I would say a super duper overbuilt knife. But in hand, man, this one is actually really comfortable. Now, as far as flipping goes, whenever you flip it right here, there are some sharp edges right there. Whenever you do, you gotta kind of give it a little wrist sometimes. Whenever you activate that flipper tab, a little bit of sharp edges going on there. Definitely reverse flick it very easy with that opening hole. We'll get an overall measurement on it real quick. And again, I'm going to do a full kind of review of this one. All the way, if you go from the tip of the blade all the way to the end of it, you're looking at just shy of 10 inches, man. That's crazy. 9 and, I would say 9 and 7/8, 9 and 15/16 even, maybe. 9 and a quarter if you go, or a little, maybe 9 and 1/8 if you go to where this kind of glass breaker area begins at. Overall blade length, looking at 4 and a quarter if you go all the way up to where this intersects with the handle scales. And cutting edge length, you are looking at 3 and, I call that 3 and 7/8, maybe a hair under right there on that cutting edge length. So yeah, definitely you got more blade than handle, and it is super comfortable. I don't mind that myself. A lot of people are all about blade to handle ratio. Sometimes it makes sense on an EDC, it would make sense to me, but this is not something that I would probably EDC. I would carry it, maybe if it was mine, would carry it more around the yard and stuff like that. And again, you can look at some of the videos that Tomas has on this one. He has got some crazy videos, man. He's got one stabbing, I can't remember if it's this one or the next one, but stabbing into kind of like a polyurethane super hard plastic tank, busting bands with it, doing all kinds of crazy shit with it. So definitely, you know, if you want to see some of these hard use, go check out his Instagram. And the last one right here, man, this dude, I've talked with him on and off plenty of times. He let me design his logo for him, which I thought turned out pretty good. I thought it was a really funny idea. Just kind of helped a little bit bring his idea to life, based off of what he wanted. And I thought that was pretty cool. He sent me a sticker and a t-shirt and stuff with his logo on it. I thought that was so cool of him to do. This is Barefoot Bruisers, man. This is Satu Dave. This is actually Origin number 2. Barefoot Bruisers Origin number 2. And this one is crazy, man. Look at it. Just look at it. That's nuts. That is a big, beefy knife. Let's go ahead and get an overall length on it. Kind of got like a tanto with a little bit of inward curve going on inside there. So from the tip of the blade to the end of the handle, you are looking at 9 3/4 overall blade length. You are looking at around 4 1/4 if you measure laterally like that. But means it's a tanto. You got what, 1 in, let's see, I can get over the camera so I can actually maybe see it, just under 2 inches on that secondary, and right around 2, well, let's see, right around 2 3/8 on the primary. So 4 3/8 if you measure that way of our cutting edge. If you measure laterally, you've got 4 inches. That's why I always do that on tantos. And this is not a typical tanto, kind of curves inward there, right? So Normal tanto, regular tanto, you would have like a straight line right there. I love how he does that kind of groove out with the fuller coming out of the thumb hole. That is so cool to me, man. Paul I Might actually did the finish on this one. He did the Silver Surfer, from what Tomas was telling me. Dave gave it his blessing, so he could do that mod to it. And man, that thing, if you can reverse, I can't successfully reverse flick it here from the hole. I got to go down a little bit, like right there. But if I go down there, I'll do it on camera, I can reverse flick it pretty easily. Super thick blade stock on this one too. Dave is a machinist by trade. He did all of this himself. This is all him. This is all Dave. He taught himself. He actually got pointers from Todd Heeter, who designed the last one, who made the last one that we looked at. 247,000. So right at, I'm going to call that 1/4 inch blade stock. Right there. Yeah, 15 thousandths under. These shitty calibers are probably wrong, but yeah, right. I'm calling that 1/4 inch blade stock. So that's insanely overbuilt knife. We'll go ahead and do the weight on this bad boy. All right, angle this where you guys can see it. 11.7 ounces is what I got. Yep. Is that 7 or yeah, 11.7. I gotta get another scale where you can actually see the damn numbers. Kind of helps when you're making videos, right? But yeah, awesome knife, man. I really would love to get one of these in the collection one day. And again, I'm gonna have a full kind of overview of this knife and a full overview of the Heeter and the 8020XXX. We'll go ahead and get the ones that we can fit in the camera back out here. That's the 8020XXX. That's the Satu Dave Barefoot Bruisers Origin. There's Donnie's. Can I fit Donnie in? You can always fit Donnie in, right? Giggity. Fit Donnie in right there. Yeah. And get one more out there just to kind of finalize the video. But yeah, those are what I would consider overbuilt knives. Definitely a subjective definition. Some people, like I said, might consider them ridiculous, stupid. And I get it, man. It's not practical really at all to carry a knife that's that big or that thick. But I personally, I think it's cool. I would definitely carry something like any of these depending on what I'm doing. Now, if I'm going out to dinner and I've got khakis on, yeah, no, probably not. But I would definitely be prone to carrying one kind of like around the yard, around the house, or something like that. This one I actually do, and this one I actually have. So, and this one I have too. That's my custom. I carry Donnie's knife all over the place. So what knives are overbuilt to you? What overbuilt knives do you have? What makes a knife overbuilt to you? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know. I really appreciate it, you guys. Sorry for like kind of the jumping around, editing stuff going on. Kind of been working on a couple of different new things. So hopefully it turns out pretty good and the video is reasonably coherent. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Hit the like button if you like it. Check out one of my other videos. It might pop up here. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to add that in later or something. But yeah, overbuilt knives. Let me know what overbuilt knives you have. Would you consider these ridiculously, stupidly overbuilt, or would you consider them good carrying normal knives, or somewhere in between, or what? Let me know in the comments. See you guys on the next one. Thank y'all for watching, and I am out.